Thanks very much, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to you and the ranking member for bringing us together today on this very important subject. And I want to thank both of you for your personal commitment to action on this important topic. And I also want to thank Senator McCain. I just left him at the Armed Services Committee, which he chairs, and there's a very important hearing going on there now, so I know he will try to be here if he can. But Cindy McCain is with us today, and she has been a tireless and tenacious advocate on this subject, so I want to thank her as well. I particularly want to thank our colleagues, nearly a third of the Senate, many members of this committee who have co-sponsored this bill. Senator Hassan and Senator Duckworth have just co-sponsored it, joining Senator Nelson, Senators Klobuchar, Blunt, Sullivan, Cruz, Lee, and Capito. And I want to thank others who have not yet joined it. We are talking very diligently with Senator Harris, for example, as well as Senator Cortez Masto, Senator Booker, Senator Schatz, others who are helping us to clarify and make this legislation even more precise. And I look forward to continue our work with this group to make sure that the language achieves our goal without any unintended or unforeseen consequences. And I want to finally join the survivors who are with us today, Yvonne Ambrose. We are here in large part because of three incredibly courageous young women. These three women were each 15 years old when they were first sold for sex. They were sold invisibly, but in plain sight. The ads that sold them used coded language to indicate that they were, in fact, underage. Over the course of roughly 4 years, they were raped thousands of times. In 2014, these three young women had the courage to go to court. They brought a lawsuit against Backpage for facilitating sex trafficking. The First Circuit reviewed their case, and as Senator Portman has said, they called this an outrage. They used that word, outrage. But they said that there were no remedies. There were no legal claims that could be recognized in court because of this section in the law, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Nothing could be done for them. The court, in effect, said to us, the Congress of the United States, you made this mess, now fix it. These women are in a legal black hole without justice. Congress must fix it. That's why we're here. This problem is hardly new or novel. My efforts against sex trafficking, in fact, began almost a decade ago, exactly this problem, when I led a coalition of 39 states investigating the online classified company Craigslist for facilitating and profiting from sex trafficking. In 2010, Craigslist voluntarily took down its adult services section. We won the battle, but the war was far from won. As purchasers of sex moved away from Craigslist, they went to Backpage.com. In fact, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which I should note is represented here today, reported an 846% increase in reports of suspected sex trafficking between 2010 and 2015. In other words, after Craigslist settled, there was an 846% increase in sex trafficking over those 5 years. And it was directly correlated to the increased use of the internet to sell children for sex. In 2016 alone, the National Human Trafficking Hotline received 5,551 reports of sex trafficking incidents. Shutting down one website is not enough. Shutting down Backpage even if it were occur, is not enough. We need to pass this measure. If we fail to do so, if we fail to close this gap and fill this legal black hole, we become complicit. And those numbers, by the way, underestimate this problem. Think of it for a moment. Those reports require the same courage that these young women demonstrated to come forward and brave the stigma and shame of acknowledging that they have been sold for sex. So when the critics of this legislation say there will be a deluge of lawsuits, that there will be frivolous or unfounded claims, think of it for a moment. Survivors have to come forward and establish their standing under the law by making the case that they have been sold for sex. There will be no deluge of frivolous lawsuits as a result of this measure. It's time to say no more. Congress must stop allowing websites to promote and profit from sex trafficking. Senator Portman has outlined the provisions of this bill. They are narrowly targeted and carefully crafted. We are working to make them even clearer and more precise to avoid unintended consequences. I understand that some of the companies may wish to continue the shield from liability that they have. Companies rarely welcome additional legal accountability. I understand that point. But this is about social and moral responsibility, as well as giving survivors and victims a day in court. It is time to open the courthouse doors to victims of sex trafficking who have been sold into slavery as a result of ads that right now can enjoy absolute immunity for sites that knowingly facilitate, support, or assist. Knowingly facilitate, support, or assist. It's a high bar. These companies should be compelled to meet it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.